Howdy everyone. We are a team of enthusiast Aggies who will be volunteering to develop an application for the farmers market. We aim to address the issues with the current system and propose a solution by designing a brand new application. We believe in technology and are thrilled to help the farmers market to transition from a manual process of vendor management to a completely paperless mechanism. We absolutely love the idea of connecting the local farmers to the consumers of Brazos Valley, which provides a wide variety of fresh produce in the farmers market. We aim to increase the popularity of this idea by creating an online presence. Nature's Gift Shop of Founding Farmers. This is the name of our product. Our vision is to serve as a system for the Brazos Valley Farmers Market to manage their vendor operations efficiently. The application will provide an interface for vendors, volunteers, and the management team to conduct their activities smoothly. It will ensure a seamless experience for all stakeholders, right from the registration process through the payment settlements. The main goal of our product is to automate most of the vendor management processes. The financial operations will be completely moved from check transactions to online digital payments. The system will also account for various membership options, depending upon the choice of subscription by the vendors. The current physical storage of files will entirely be moved online to allow for quicker access and storage. Additionally, the management will be equipped with reporting tools to access relevant reports for decision-making and auditing purposes. We determine the success of our product by outlining the following 7 metrics. First, to reduce mishandled transactions by 95% in the next 12 months. Second, to increase vendor retention by 70% in the next 6 months. Third, to increase volunteer headcount by 50% in the next 12 months. Fourth, to support retention of sales reports up to the past 3 years. Fifth, to ensure 99.95% availability for a period of 12 months after implementation. Sixth, to track vendor sales and generate weekly reports from 1,000 vendor reports. Seventh, to increase collections through vendor fees by 50% in the next quarter. This is the big picture of our product. Our epic is to create a new system for the farmers market called Nature's Gift Shop of Founding Farmers that supports various functionalities like online application form submission and fee payment for vendor registration, display of market trends, headlines, and announcements, along with market trend analysis and automatic report generation. It will also allow vendors to log in and choose any of the 3 membership passes, receive reminders regarding the fees, and allow them to communicate with other vendors. As a part of this epic, we have 5 main features. The first feature is to create an online vendor application for vendors to log in using a secure username and password and access a web form with appropriate labels so that they can enter their details and submit their applications online. The second feature is to create an online payment system for the vendors to be able to transfer their membership fees directly to the Market Bank account. The third feature is to create an online vendor portal system so that the vendors can use this system to perform various activities like paying their membership fees, viewing market headlines and announcements, communicating with other vendors, and so on. The fourth feature is to create an online vendor management system for the volunteers to manage vendors by keeping track of their membership and fee payment status, along with other related information. The fifth feature is to create an online admin portal for the management staff so that they can perform various important tasks like reviewing submitted membership applications and their payment status, analyzing market trends, and sending out automated emails and weekly sales reports, and many more such tasks. Moving on, we will have Maithili introduce you to the 3 personas of our product.
Moving on to the target group or our customer market. We have 3 different people playing different roles in case of our product. David and Katie would be users of the product, whereas Harrison would be involved in the development of the product. The first persona is that of David, who is a 61-year-old farmer residing in Madison County, which is served by the Brazos Valley Farmers Market. He promotes organic farming and has been associated with the farmer's market, where he sells the crops he grows along with jute baskets made by his wife. Currently, he needs to call the volunteers every time he wants to sell a different product, which is a time consuming task. He wishes there could be an easier way for him to manage his product list as he is a regular supplier. He would also like to be informed about the trending products in the market and get sales reports sent to him on a regular basis. He's tired of having to write checks and go deposit them in order to renew his membership with the farmers market. He also dreads the long phone calls with the volunteers whenever he decides to make modifications to his product list. So this new online system would be of great help to him. We're now looking at Katie, who is the manager for this market. She is an agricultural economics graduate who tries her best to encourage people to live sustainably. She worked as an agricultural consultant in Florida and moved back to Texas a couple years ago. She loves eating healthy and is an animal lover. She spends her weekends volunteering at the animal shelter, which is quite close to the farmers market. Whenever a vendor wants to register or renew their membership, Katie is in charge for pulling up their application and completing the process. She wishes there was a simpler way to manage and retrieve all the applications instead of searching through so much paperwork manually. She's extremely busy as she needs to call the vendors and remind them about their overdue payments and mail them the sales reports for their product. Automating her work would save a lot of her time and would let her focus on making other improvements in the farmers market. This is Harrison. He is a computer science graduate student at Texas A&M University and takes up freelancing projects as he loves coding. He's a talented young boy and quite an all-rounder as he plays the guitar and enjoys sports as well. He wishes to work at Google once he graduates and wants to form a music band so he can pursue his passion as well. He has approached the Brazos Valley Farmers Market along with some of his classmates, and they will be developing the product for us.
Next, we move to the storyboarding part of our application. So David is basically a typical user. He's a farmer. He has a really great season in terms of produce. So he's looking for a market to sell. He comes across Nature's Gift Shop of Founding Farmers. He creates an account. He logs in and he's able to see the dashboard, from where he decides to register himself as a vendor. He submits the application form. He makes the payment of whatever the amount is on the basis of the date he's registering, and there he is looking forward to the market. Moving on, the wireframes. So these are the wireframes, how the website will look like. First wireframe is for the dashboard or the home page. This is kind of a snapshot which comprises of all the important components within our website, which includes announcements, market news, community, and the login button. The user can navigate to any of these options from the home page. Second wireframe is for the login page. The user can simply sign up or log in. Next, we have a membership form where the user can submit all the details, what he's going to sell, his address, his full name, his family details. And then we have a payment page where the user is going to make the payment using card, Apple Pay, PayPal, or a debit card. Next, moving on, we have another wireframe that is the sales data. So basically, a vendor can keep a track or analyze how the data is being sold, what is the different categories in which the quantities are sold, which product has which price on for which it is being sold, and even the user can even download the report for analyzing. Now we have mockups. So this is the mockup for the home page or the snapshot we had the dashboard. Then we have the mockup for the application form. This is where the user is entering all the details and proceeding to the payment page. Now we have a use case diagram. This depicts how the different users are going to interact. So admins are primarily going to interact with all of these components, which are the dashboards, market tracking portal, payments, edit vendors, edit volunteers, whereas a volunteer is going to mainly support the vendor. He's going to chat, call support to the vendors, access the dashboards, make sure the payments are going through. Vendor will primarily interact with the vendor application form, the payment page, um, and the basically the vendor portal, the news announcements, and the user community. Now we have a workflow diagram. So workflow diagram, as we can see, the user will create an account. Account can be of three types. Either it can be an administrator, vendor, or a volunteer. Talking about administrator, we have market tracking, automated dashboards, which the admin can view. Admin can manage vendors and volunteers, and he can also manage the administrative portal. Then we have a vendor portal where the vendor can access the application form, complete his payment, and register himself as a vendor, and access the news or announcements or updates. Lastly, we have something called volunteer portal. In volunteer portal, the user can basically edit the vendor details, address different vendor queries, and track the vendor activities. Next, over to Paras for sprints and the conclusion of the product canvas.
Thank you, Japneet. Let's go over the sprint planning for the farmers market application. We'll be covering 3 sprints that have the features and the user stories allotted to them and in the time frame in which they will be developed. So looking at the first sprint, as we can see, starting from the left of the table, we have feature ID, user story, acceptance criteria, priority, and story points. So the features that were mentioned by Nariksha among the first few slides have a number, and these user stories have been allotted to that particular feature ID. So as you can see, there are multiple row items for one feature ID. The user story is one particular feature or one particular user story particular to a feature that will be developed from a user's standpoint. So as you can see, all the 5 stories that we have for sprint 1 are from vendor's point of view. The first 3 stories are for the vendor to develop an account, and then this the feature ID 2 is more related to the payments that the vendor will be making to the farmers market. How do we decide how that a feature has been perfectly developed? We have an acceptance criteria list which we map when a user story is developed. So for a particular user story, there this particular acceptance criteria has to be developed in order for us to call it successful. Each user story has some kind of priority. For example, if having a vendor account is of more priority than having a receipt for a transaction. So based on the priority, story points are allotted to a particular user story. High priorities user stories have more story points as compared to medium and low. So as we move along, we have the sprint 2 and then the sprint 3 user stories. In all, we have 15 user stories, 5 per each sprint. According to their priority, story points have been awarded and they'll be worked in this fashion. Moving on, we have a timeline of when these features will be developed. As you can see on the screen, there is a Gantt chart that displays the time and effort it is going to take to develop features in one particular sprint. We start the development of this application early in 2022. So as you can see, we start off first sprint in the first week of January, and our targeted deadline to complete the entire project, or at least the first 3 sprints, is by the end of March. We start from the first week of January, and then based on each user story that we have allotted a specific amount of time that we think it's going to take to develop that story. If let's say if a month has 4 weeks, and the first 3 weeks are catered to development, and the last week panders to QA and testing, and then we mark a sprint as complete. So this is a similar timeline for all the sprints. They are to be completed in 1 month for each sprint, and then by the end of March we'll have developed at least 15 user stories as per our plan. Moving on, just to conclude everything that we have covered in this presentation, from target users, epic, success metrics, sprint planning, we had user stories that had priority and story points allotted to them. Japneet covered use case and workflow diagrams. Wireframes and mockups actually depict the picture of what the farmers market application would look like. So this was all from our end. Thank you for joining in and listening to our presentation.